Listen, I've even got my glasses on. That's how you know it's going to be one of those... No, I'm joking. Literally, I'm short-sighted. I wanted to look flipping intellectual. Yeah, I like my hoodie. Cropped hoodie. Shout out Emma. She was my roommate slash housemate slash life friend up in Massachusetts, and I miss you very, very much. And oh no, this lighting is too bright. No. Hey guys, welcome back to yet another YouTube video. And before you do anything and watch the rest of this video, hit that subscribe button, help a girl out, follow me, and stay up to date with my journey. Do all that. That would be great. Cool. So today we are going to talk about something that I get asked a lot about all the time. Like literally all the time. And I thought, you know what, let me actually make a video on it that is useful, relevant, detailed, particularly for those of you that are, interested in either going to an Ivy League in general, specifically Harvard, and you live abroad. So the Harvard experience for somebody that comes from abroad. So today we are going to talk about my Harvard experience, being able to go to Harvard for free, tips on getting in, all that good stuff. So when I decided to apply for Harvard, it was in the beginning few months of my final year at Oxford. So I was studying history, and I decided that I didn't really want to go straight into work like right after finishing my undergraduate degree. So I decided that I wanted to do a master's. I had always wanted to do a master's. I didn't think I would do it as soon as I, decided to, but I just decided I really have a passion for learning. I have a passion for education, so why not just apply for a master's? For me, I always wanted to go to an institution that was, world renowned. I didn't really want to stay at Oxford because I'd had enough basically, and I was, exploring my options, and I had one or two other people that I had seen before me make the transition and go to Harvard. So I did a bit of research, found a course that I really loved, which was International Education Policy, aka acronym would be IEP, at Harvard Graduate School of Education, and decided that would be the place that tickled my fancy, as it were. So after doing my research, which is something that I actually super recommend to all of you guys that are interested in applying, please do your research before you actually go, because guess what? If you don't, you're going to make a lot of pitfalls. And it's really helpful, especially when it comes to writing your application and all those kind of other bits and pieces. Did my research, looked at what the course entailed, and then decided that I would be making an application. So the application consisted of the statement of purpose. It also consisted of you, answering a couple of questions about, why you are interested in the course. By the way, this may have changed. This was correct as of when I applied. They sometimes update these things, and given the whole COVID situation, it's always good to chime in and figure out if that's, still the case. So yeah, I basically did the statement of purpose. I had references. You have to get up to 3 recommenders. And then you also have to do the GRE test. Now, this is a general examination test that you have to take when you are applying to a number of other institutions for your master's and, PhD and all that kind of stuff. We'll get onto that because, it didn't go good for me basically. But we out here. Started preparing my application. It was a bit tough for me because I was in final year and I was prepping for my dissertation, which was 12k words, and I was also prepping for my coursework, which was 6k words. And then if you know anything about Oxford, they love to give you flipping essays every single week. So I'm doing at least the very minimum an essay a week. It was challenging times, but I had to really knuckle down and get my application together. So I started studying for the GRE. As I mentioned, it was tough for me because listen, to those of you guys that are mathematicians, good on you. If you're thinking about doing a master's course, please check if you have to do a GRE, because there's a maths element to it. And if you haven't, like me, looked at maths since flipping high school or secondary school, it's all over. It's all over, because I was looking at all sorts of some geometry and algebra, all them things there that,
didn't quite sit well with me.
And that's not to say that I wasn't good at maths, because, you know, GCSE, I was smashing maths, but that's the point. I left it at GCSE. I didn't think it would come and follow me and bite me on the bum. A good, what, 5 years later?
I was absolutely like scandalized.
So yeah, I was preparing for the GRE whilst I was preparing for all of my other course stuff. So please, if you're thinking of applying for a master's, do your research well in advance. Well in advance. I eventually sat the GRE examination, not to mention it's actually, you have to pay for it. I had to pay £235 for the GRE, so you better get saving. Not to mention the actual application itself cost about £80. So you want to start saving up and putting away a good amount of money so that you're able to fund these things, or at least look for like ways in which you can, you know, fund these applications. So yeah, that was all going on in the background, and the GRE is actually 3 hours. There's lots of, I used a lot of like really great stuff. If you want me to like suggest the things that I used, I'll pop them down in the description bar below. But there's a lot of great stuff, free content on YouTube that I used when it came to revising. I was also preparing applications for scholarships. The 3 scholarships that I applied for were the Kennedy Memorial Trust Scholarship, the Fulbright Scholarship, and the Frank Knox Scholarship. I didn't get the Fulbright scholarship, and I got interviews for both Frank Knox and Kennedy. I ended up getting the Kennedy Memorial Trust Scholarship, which was amazing because essentially it is your tuition covered as well as your living expenses and any kind of like health insurance, visa stuff, like literally the dream. And when I found out,
Lord knows, I wept.
But it was actually a funny story because I found out I got the funding before I found out I got into Harvard. So I was just like, raw. Can you imagine if I got the funding, yeah, and didn't get into Harvard? What? They will have to take me. By force, they would have to take me. That was such a huge relief. And if it is helpful for me to go into detail about, you know, funding applications and scholarships, I might do that in a separate video, because there is an art to the personal statement. There is an art to acing, you know, your interviews. There is a real like art to understanding how to win people over and articulate the value that you can bring when it comes to their investment in you, because that's what a scholarship is. It is an organization or, you know, individuals investing in you because they believe that you can bring about change. I'll definitely do a separate video about, you know, getting those scholarships if that's super helpful. But yeah, that was all happening at the same time basically. So guys, if you're thinking of doing a master's, particularly one abroad, get ready for a whole roller coaster ride, because there's a lot of different component pieces and balls that you have to keep juggling at the same time. So just make sure you give yourself enough league time to really prepare yourself. And don't be like me. I literally left it till the last minute. Like, how can I decide I want to do my master's like a good, I want to say 2 to 3 months before the application really closed? The struggle. Don't be like me. Prep in advance. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm happy to do a full video on how to get a scholarship, how to look for them, how to make yourself a standout candidate. If that would be helpful to you guys, please let me know. I would love to do it for you. Shout out to Kennedy Memorial Trust. They do some amazing work just in general, but also in terms of supporting young British people, specifically going to the United States. But would definitely also recommend checking out Frank Knox and also the Fulbright Scholarship. There's also a couple like mini funds that you can get into. Yeah, that happened, and then I submitted all of my materials, and I literally had to wait until March to find out whether I'd got in. And I distinctively remember being at an event with my friend Courtney, like literally one of my best friends. I sing of her praises, and anytime you ask me about Courtney, you guys know her as Courtney Daniela on YouTube. But I remember being at an event with Courtney and my phone buzzed. And I just remember taking it out, and it was from Harvard. I stepped out and opened my phone, and it had said I got in. And when I say that moment is probably one of the best moments that I've ever experienced in my entire life. Like, I screamed. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm actually super cool and reserved. I have chill. I had absolutely not even a single ounce of chill. I literally yelled, ran back to Courtney. I was like,
Courtney!
She was like, what the hell?
What is wrong with you, girl? I was like, dude, I'm going to Harvard.
And she, like, as in the scream that both of us let out, you guys will think that we're actually mad. And literally everyone was looking at us like, is everything okay? I was like, well, everything is okay. I'm going to Harvard. And literally everyone was like, wow, Renee, congratulations. Best moment. And the thing is, I actually didn't tell my mum I was applying to Harvard. I didn't tell anybody I was applying to Harvard. I literally only told my mentor that I was applying because I wanted him to kind of like look over my work, and also I still wanted that guidance whilst I was applying. So I didn't tell anybody. So imagine me coming home from that event now. I go to my mum, I'm like, hey mum, I'm going to Harvard. And she was like, excuse me? It's like, yeah, I'm going to Harvard. All expenses paid. This lady almost had a heart attack. Bearing in mind, up until that point, she had not, you know, African parents, yeah? My mom had not finished telling everybody that wanted to know that her daughter went to Oxford. So imagine me now telling her, oh mom, I'm going to Harvard and I got a fully funded scholarship. This lady almost, like when I say she just sat back, like she fell in her chair. She said, Jesus Christ. And yeah, that is the story of my Harvard application experience. I'm also happy to give a review of my actual experience at Harvard and whether I think it's a worthwhile investment and whether it's worth it to go. Spoiler alert, I loved it. Spoiler alert, I loved it. Loved it. And I've got mad love for my Harvard crew. I've got mad love for my American friends. I miss them dearly. I wish Corona wasn't such a situation, because I did plan to go and see some of you guys, but we move. But yeah, you know what time it is. Unfortunately, it's the end of this video. However, like I said at the beginning, follow your girl, subscribe, support the movement. I want to bring you guys valuable stuff, content, and I just want to see you win. Like, I literally want to see the next generation of young people go into these institutions. I want to see, you know, I just want to see people thrive. So yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will be back with another one really soon. Lots of love.